Heyo, and welcome back to another episode of The Dribble, the show where we take a closer look into the Boston Celtics, the rest of the NBA, and whatever else might come up. My name is Luke Irwin, and I am your host. It has been a long time. What can we say? Right? We were on a little bit of a hiatus with The Dribble, but we are now back. 2025, mark all of your calendars, is going to be the year of The Dribble. We are going to get into it as the season ramps up. Just like the Celtics have kind of come out a little bit slow, maybe not taking games as seriously as they should, The Dribble came out this season and just wasn't really, we knew we were going to be there in the end, that kind of a thing. So we've been taking it a little bit slow, but no more. 2025, like I said, we are back on The Dribble's BS. And we have a great episode to start off 2025. In today's episode, the Celtics have a December to not remember, new year, new gauntlet of a schedule, and Ant-Man is not quite ready to be an Avenger. We are definitely going to talk about him and some of his post-game antics in this game that we just had against them. So yeah, so much to get into, and personally, I suggest that we do, because this is The Dribble.
Celtics are NBA champions.
Okay, like I said, the Celtics with a December to not remember. The Celtics went 8-6 in December, right? A little bit of a slump. I mentioned it in the beginning, how the Celtics kind of got in their own way a little bit, didn't seem to come up for big games. And meanwhile, we're the defending champions, and everyone's talking about how we're the best team in the league, and we got Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, these great guys. And so these other teams are using us as a measuring stick, right? So they're coming out, they're playing their hardest. There's been we played against some of these teams in December that just played as if it was their game 7. The Sixers on Christmas Day. I think Tatum was opening presents on the side with Deuce. I don't think we were really all that invested in that game. And the Sixers, they celebrated as if they'd won the Super Bowl. Yes, the Sixers beat us. They were finally fully healthy with Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid finally on the court. Maxey played incredible. So yeah, you beat us, but they acted like they had won the Super Bowl. Good for them. It's Christmas. That's the only win you're going to get against these Celtics. So good on you, I guess. But you could tell they were engaged from the jump. Same with the Cavs when we played them. It's just everybody we see, even the Pistons, the Bulls, whoever we play, they're just going to be coming up competition-wise to try to, measure themselves against us and to get a win. It's good to get a win against who is known as the best team in the league. So the Celtics were 8-6, like I said. So why? What made us 8-6? Well, because we were obviously the month before in November, we were 12-2. Came out to a really hot start. 12-2, that's 14 games. 8-6, that's also 14 games, but a big difference in a record. So why? What happened? Let's point to some stuff, right? Let's look at some stats and maybe look at an eye test. If you look at the eye test, you would probably say, well, I think we shot poorly, right? We were shooting too many threes, and we shot poorly, and our defense, we had some pretty bad defense. I've heard a lot of people say the Celtics defense has not been looking good in December. They look lazy. They look like they're taking some nights off when other teams are treating the night as their Super Bowl. And maybe that's it. So let's dive into that, right? Let's dive into some of those numbers. During the 8-6 stretch, they shot the 3 ball 50 times a game. 50 times a game. And they only shot or made 35%. So they shoot it 50 times. They only make 35% of their threes. That's not the best, right? In November, that month right before December, the December to not remember, the Celtics, like I said, went 12-2. In that dominant stretch, 12-2 in November, let's look at the Celtics 3-point. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. So in November, the Celtics shot the 3 ball 50 times per game and shot it only at a 35% clip. Yeah, or 36 in November, 1 percentage point higher. But the same exact shooting splits in December and in November. 12-2 in November, 8-6 in December. So it's not the 3. We're not shooting too many threes. It worked with 12-2 in November, shooting 50 a game. And in December, we shot exactly 50 a game as well. And the percentage of the hit percentage, 35, 36%, is the same. So it's not the three-point shooting. There's no dip in the three-point shooting. So it isn't the threes, right? That's quantity. There's efficiency there. Same on both. So maybe it's quality. Maybe we're not getting assisted three-pointers. We're taking more off the dribble three-pointers. No, same thing. Off the dribble three-pointers were the same from November as they were in December. And assists, we had 26 assists per game in both months, November and December. So we're moving the ball the same. We're shooting the ball the same, both at quantity and quality and efficiency. So it's not the threes. It's not the offense. As much as the eye test truly does say that it is the shooting, it is not the shooting. Okay, so it must be the defense, right? Like I said, the defense, they've looked lazy. They've looked like they're not coming up for the games like we talked about. So it's got to be the defense, right? Defense takes effort. Effort is the number one thing in defense. And with a team who knows they're this good, playing some weaker competition, the effort's not there every single night. And I've heard people say, the Celtics look soft on defense. Okay, well, let's look at that. Let's look at the Celtics' defensive rating. The Celtics' defensive rating in November led the league in November with 111.5 defensive rating. The Celtics had a 111.5 defensive rating in the league, the number one in the league in the month of November. In December, they got better. Their defensive rating went to 108.2. 3 points down. That's 3-point improvement from 111 to 108 defensive rating, and still remain the top defensive rated team in the league, including, we talk about OKC all the time, right? How good OKC's defense looked, or has been looking. Our defense has been better than their defense, even in the month of December when we went through a slump and didn't look good. So how do we lose? How did the Celtics go 8-6? How? Is it our three-point production was dead on, right? Our three-point production was dead on. Assist numbers were the same. Defensive rating improved in that month. So how? How do you go from 12-2 to 8-6? Maybe the opponents were better, right? Maybe we just played better opponents, better competition. Nope. Just put an end to that real quick. In December, we played Detroit twice, Chicago twice, Washington, Miami, a depleted Orlando team with 3 starters missing, the Raptors, and then, yes, a couple good teams, Cavs, Bucks, Memphis, Philly. Philly was fully healthy. They're pretty good, but when they're in and out, they're not as good. But, Cavs beat them in November, lost to them in December. Bucks, we season sweep with them, 3-0. For the Celtics, Memphis, they become a really good team, and they were really whole when we saw them with John Morant and everybody. But still, the rest, Detroit twice, Chicago twice, Washington, Miami, depleted Orlando. It's not like we had this crazy December, right? So it's not like the opponents were pushing us to that 8-6 record. And in November, we played the Cavs, Bucks, the Clippers. We crushed the Clippers, Wolves, Hawks, Warriors, who at the time, the Warriors were one of the best teams in the league. They had like a 15-2 record at one point. So why? What had the Celtics losing? Well, maybe, and I don't like to do this, but maybe it has to do with injury. The following players for the Boston Celtics had been kind of in and out with injury, missing a game or two games here, or out completely in the month of December. Porzingis, Brown, Holiday, Horford, Hauser for a stretch, Tatum for a little bit, and Luke Cornett. 7 players, and our rotation is basically 8 players. So essentially our entire team. Bingo. That is why we lost so many games. And that's not good. You don't like nagging injuries, but Porzingis has been out for the rest of the season. We can, in and out for last season and this season. That's what you get. He's almost like a luxury. It's like a part-time worker. It's like, we have this great staff of people. And there's just one guy who does this one thing really well, and he comes in like one day a week, and he just gets it done when we need him to. Here's a crazy stat. The Boston Celtics full starting unit, which is White, Holiday, Tatum, Brown, and Porzingis, has played a total of 86 minutes together. 86 minutes. There's 48 minutes in one basketball game. And usually players play about 38, 40 minutes in a game. So that's just 2 games. Just 2 games they have played out of the 34 games or whatever it is we've played. Only 2 total games have these 5 players played together on the court. That is the lowest in the league. And some teams have been decimated with injuries. It's the lowest in the league if you don't count like a starter who is out for the season. If you're out for the season, that's all games. It's the people you could have available but are in and out, questionable, ruled out, that kind of thing throughout the night. They lead the league in that category. That's not good. That's not going to win you games. That's not a winning formula at all. Well, 8-6 is not good, but we're off to a great start in January. The Celtics are in the middle of a gauntlet. I want to talk about this quickly. The gauntlet of a schedule coming up and what we're kind of in the middle of. Right now, I'm filming this directly after the Timberwolves game. The Celtics beat the Timberwolves. We will go over that, obviously. But this gauntlet is the Timberwolves all on the road. This is all on the road on a West Coast trip. The Minnesota Timberwolves, and then on a back-to-back, the Houston Rockets, and then we play the OKC Thunder, potential finals matchup, and then we play Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, all on the road, and all 4 games played within a 6-day stretch. A back-to-back, and then every other after that. That's a lot of games. 4 games in 6 days, and on a West Coast trip. So it's not at home where you're able to rest, be in your own bed. It's you go to Minnesota, cold Minnesota, and then you go to Houston, hot Houston, and then you go to OKC. Don't know much about OKC, but you go to OKC, you play SGA, and then you go to Denver, thin air altitude Denver, all in 6 days. All in 6 days. Pretty incredible. And I mean, this is also, think about, if you don't like this, you don't like NBA basketball, right? That's the bottom line, right? That's combined record of those 4 teams is 86-44. That's a really good combined record. 86-44 for those 4 teams. And in those teams lie, like I said, we already played Anthony Edwards, a young up-and-coming Anthony Edwards. We will talk about him, trust me. Any Ant fans must be hiding today. Our old coach, Ime Udoka with the Rockets, and the top 2 MVP candidates in the league in SGA and Nikola Jokic. Wow. Like I said, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. Okay? That is just an incredible stretch. I cannot wait for it. Honestly, looking ahead, we probably will lose that Denver game. I'm just going to call it here. I don't want it. It would be great if we get it. But like I said, we're in and out with some injuries, a lot of game time decisions in this stretch. And we're going to be fresh off of a back-to-back and then OKC and SGA, which plays great defense. It's going to be a hard-fought game. You just know it's going to come down to the wire. And then we fly to Denver, and the altitude gets everybody. But after that kind of stretch, 4 games in 6 nights, that's going to be tough. That's going to be a tough game. Even though we should beat Denver and they're not as good of a team as they've been, that's just a tough sketch. That's one of those ones where it's like, what do you want me to do? I'm going to run up and down the court every night, basically, and then getting on a flight and then flying overnight and then waking up, just jet lag. And it's just not a good recipe for success for the Boston Celtics. But I'm excited for it. Because it'd be a real test, right? We've played a lot. The way that the schedule is done these days in the NBA is a lot of back-to-backs for the same team, right? So a lot of what you get is you get 2 Bulls right in a row. You get the Pistons, and then like the Pacers, and 2 nights later the Pacers, and then you get Washington, and then maybe a couple games in Washington. So we played the Hornets a couple times in the last couple of months. So it's been kind of a weird start to the schedule. But this is kind of where it opens up for the Boston Celtics. Because like I said, we have Minnesota, we have the Rockets, we have OKC, we have the Denver Nuggets. And then after that, in this month, we play the Kings, the Pelicans, we play Orlando, we play Golden State, we play the Clippers, the Lakers, Dallas, Houston again, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Dallas, New York. I mean, this next stretch is not a lot of Detroits. It's not a lot of Washingtons. It's not a lot of bottom of the barrels. Not a lot of Utah Jazz. It's not some of these teams that are super easy. And we have a lot of actual network games. We have TNT. So in that stretch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And we have there's a stretch here where essentially every other game is a national TV, ABC, ESPN, TNT, one of those networks. So a lot of big games. All eyes are going to be on the Celtics. all eyes are going to be on what we can do. And coming off this stretch, like I said, in December, where we played some weaker competition, we went 8-6. I don't know. It's an important stretch. And it was important to start out the stretch the way that we did. Let's talk about the game last night. This was a big game for anybody who's a Jason Tatum fan, anybody who's an Anthony Edwards fan. These two match up, and it's just fun. It's fireworks, even though Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics are 8-1 against Anthony Edwards. So Tatum owns Anthony Edwards, and in the head-to-head, Tatum averages 34 points a game in these matchups. Anthony Edwards averages 23 or 24. He has them in rebounds, field goal efficiency, basically all categories except for assists. Anthony Edwards does average more assists in these head-to-head matchups, but Tatum was brilliant in this game. Celtics win 118-115, what ended up being kind of a thriller. The Minnesota Timberwolves jumped out right away, and then the Celtics bit away into that lead. Then they took their own lead. Then the Minnesota Timberwolves came back. It was a lot of back and forth. These two teams shot almost 100 threes. 96 threes shot between these two teams. That is not great. The Celtics hit 22 threes. And honestly, the Minnesota Timberwolves shoot pretty well when Naz Reid is shooting well. And that's what he does. That's kind of an anomaly for a guy his size. But yeah, this game was a test, like I said, and was a joy for anybody who's a Jason Tatum or Anthony Edwards fan, because people have been comparing Anthony Edwards with Jason Tatum because they're both in that class, like entering the season. Jason Tatum, everyone's like, oh, he's like the 5th, 6th, 7th best player, maybe 8th best player in the league. Anthony Edwards was 11, 10, 9th best player, but he might be coming into that 6, 7, 8. So we kind of like pitted them against each other. Who's better, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards? Well, I'm here to tell you that Jason Tatum is far better than Anthony Edwards, and we knew that because Anthony Edwards is 23 years old. We can't expect so much of Anthony Edwards. What happens with these players is you donned him MJ, the new MJ. Oh man, he's just like MJ. Like, let's pull out the birth records. He might be MJ's son. He's so good. Oh my God, I'm picking Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards over Tatum. Anthony Edwards over SGA. Like, the conversations I was hearing people have put so much pressure on this young man to develop. Anthony Edwards is a fantastic talent in the NBA, but we tried to give him the crown after a couple good playoff series. I love the kid. I think he's great. I think he's got some maturing to do, some growing to do, but people were comparing him to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, that killer mentality. What had he done? He's only 23 years old. And when you put someone up there, the expectations, the bar is so high, and then you have a major trade inside of the Timberwolves organization with Cat leaving, the spacing's all messed up. He's not sure how to deal with double teams. We're going to talk about that. And now you have this situation where he's frustrated and he's not playing as well, but he's still, he's figuring out how to play in this league, and he's only 23. But this like idea that he was some sort of going to just come into this season and be a 30 point per game and lead this Timberwolves team to a not 500 record is just, the expectations were too high. People who really know, I think Anthony Edwards is the 10th, 11th best player in the league. And his stock has gone down. He might actually be lower than that when all things are said and done, but I think he'll get it together. In this game, he shot the ball 30% or 33% from the floor, or 31.5% from the floor. He was let me look. Get the exact number here. Yeah, he was 5 for 16 from the floor, 2 for 9 from three-point range, 15 points, not good, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, so just not a great stat line. He was a -10 in this game for net rating, which led his team for the worst net rating, essentially. I don't know if you say lead, but he led his team for the worst net rating. He just wasn't productive at all in this game. Meanwhile, the person that he's been compared to, Jason Tatum, put up 33, 8, and 9 with 3 steals. He was a positive in the plus-minus in this game. He shot just about 50%, 13 for 27. He did take 17 threes, Jason Tatum did, but like I said, he had a grasp on this game. If you watch this game, Jaylen Brown was out. Porzingis, of course, still out. Again, these injuries with the Celtics. And he just was able to control the game. He took a lot of threes, and the 33 points is not really where it came. It was clutch scoring, a lot of clutch scoring, but it was also just controlling the game. Those 9 assists that he had were masterful. And that's kind of where we can start talking about the double team. So Jason Tatum was obviously double teamed because he's a superstar in this league. He gets double teamed basically every single game that that the Celtics play. And right now, Anthony Edwards gets all this hype on the offseason, right? And you come in, well, guess what? Teams, coaches, players, everyone's going to scheme to get the ball out of your hands and make you beat them strategically with your mind and not your athleticism. So obviously teams are going to double team you because that's the way that it goes. I want to play a clip, and everyone's been playing this clip if you haven't seen it already, but this is a clip of Anthony Edwards after the game. And essentially, he's complaining about being double teamed. And he's saying, it's no fun, I don't want to play this way, I don't want to pass, I'm too gifted, I should be shooting a bunch. It's just not a good look overall. I know he's 23 and he's immature, but this is territory of like Devin Booker area for this. So let me just go ahead and play the clip, listen to it for yourself, and then we'll talk about it.
I don't know, man. That was a good brand of basketball, but it's not how I want to play, of course. I mean, I'm only 23. I don't want to just be passing the ball all night. You feel me? Like,
Conley.
Yeah, at all. But the way that they guarded me, I think I have to. So
I was gonna say, how hard is it to just stay engaged?
super hard.
Yeah.
Super hard. Super hard. I mean, because I'm wired to score the ball.
You think that's what teams are trying to do to you, like mentally try to take you out of a game?
I don't know.
By blitzing you like that.
I mean, that might be a part of it, but I know they're just doing it. I don't know if like their plan is like let's mentally take them out, but because it don't like take me all the way out of the game, but it definitely frustrates me a little bit. But them doubling me definitely, it's like, bro, what is going on? Like, so yeah, I be trying to figure it out, man.
This is the guy that was supposed to be like MJ aura-wise and like MJ in his mindset and in his like how he approaches the game. This was the next Mamba mentality. Find me any clip or any even person saying that Michael Jordan would ever say anything like this. We can talk about the game itself, but what people were comparing Anthony Edwards to is not the game. They were talking about his mindset, his mentality, because he was talking trash to Kevin Durant for one series. They're like, whoa, that's Michael Jordan. Okay, would Michael Jordan complain about being double teamed and essentially infer that it shouldn't be allowed for him to be double teamed? And that it's not fun, literally it's not fun, and it's hard for you to figure out the game? That's how it works. That's how the game works. Like I said, Jason Tatum gets double teamed every time. He's learned, he had some struggles when he was 23, 24. Everyone knows that. But he has learned how to process the game and understand where to go with the ball and understand a pass doesn't mean the other thing that Anthony said was like, I want to shoot it more. Like I don't come here to pass. Well, passing's part of basketball, and also passing is how you shoot. You pass it out of a double team, you relocate to your spot, you get to your spot, you efficiently take the shot, and you score. Or you pass it out of a double team, get a couple wide open buckets for your teammates, and then like I said, the other team questions, maybe we shouldn't double team him every time, because every time we do, he makes the right read, and they get an easy two. Maybe be better at basketball, not just at being athletic and scoring. Maybe take less threes. Maybe if you took less threes, they wouldn't feel confident in trapping you above the break. That's what's happening. Drive to the bucket more. They'll be forced to foul. They'll be forced to watch you. They'll be forced to rotate. They'll be forced to avoid double teams if you're more active. And this was a perfect example of why Jason Tatum is far better than Anthony Edwards, in my opinion. Because Anthony's just 23. He's not there yet. He's not able to process the game yet the way that a guy like Jason Tatum, who's been through Eastern Conference finals battles, all these battles against some great competition, he's learned, okay, wait a second. In order to get out of this double team, I got to go here with it, there with it. That's how you play basketball. I thought this was soft by Anthony Edwards. I thought this was just not who I thought or who I was told he was. I don't watch a ton of Timberwolves games, but this is something that probably will stain him for a little bit. It stained Devin Booker. Devin Booker, if you remember, a couple years ago was like, I don't like being double teamed, and it was told that he like stopped a shoot around, or not a shoot around, a pickup game to basically say like, he like blew a timeout and was like, I don't want to, no double teams. Let's like take out double teams. And then he mentioned it in an interview after a game once, like he doesn't want to be double teamed. That's the sport. Figure it out. Play chess instead of checkers. It's that simple. And even if you can't figure it out for a second, it's going to take growth. Don't mention it like that. Don't mention it like that. Like, come on. That's That's not what Mamba mentality is. That's not what Michael Jordan does. That's not what these guys do. So I'm sick and tired of it. I don't want to hear any more comparisons. A, it's unfair to Anthony Edwards. And B, it's just not true. It's just not true. But this was a fun game. It came down to the stretch, and we hit some big shots. Tatum had some great plays. He had a great pass. Speaking of this, I'll play it right now. I'm going to do a film session later, but I'll play it right now. He just gets it, and this is perfect example of what I just said about the double team.
Rebounds a game, the best rebounding non-center in the league, and they're going to double Tatum now when he has the ball, but he does a great job, finds the open man.
He gets it, he comes off, goes to the wing three. He gets there, he gets double teamed, and instead he looks off Keita and then immediately goes to Keita down low with a beautiful bounce pass, and he gets a dunk, and that balloons the lead in a major moment when the Timberwolves were kind of trying to come back, and the Timberwolves had momentum, and they're at home. And Tatum, instead of going into a double team and thinking, I have to shoot it because I don't like passing, like Anthony Edwards said, he doesn't like force the issue. He doesn't get all riled up. He goes, okay, you're going to double team me, takes a couple dribbles, looks off Keita to get the defense out of the paint, and then slots in a beautiful pass right to him for a dunk, and that's just an easy two. And then next time down the floor, when Tatum has the ball at the low post, and he waits for the double team to clear, and you might go, why aren't they double teaming him? Well, last time they double teamed him, he found Keita for a wide open dunk. That's exactly what I'm talking about. He gets the ball, he positions himself, he shoots, makes it, extends the lead, and it's ball game at that point.
He's coming in, so this is more than double what he's been doing.
Tatum over McDaniels. He can't miss. He just cannot miss.
And that's kind of where Tatum's at. He has developed so much more. We also got great production from Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser was only shot 3-pointers. He shot 11 3-pointers in this game, but he was 5 for 11, so right near 50% on those. Al Horford hit a huge clutch 3. He was 0 for 4 from 3, and then Jason Tatum, again, double team, drives to the basket, hook pass to the corner. Al Horford splashes it. It was crisp 3. It was absolutely beautiful. Keita played 22 minutes in this game. Porzingis, starting center. Jaylen Brown, his Robin to his Batman, both out in this game in Minnesota, and he's able to pull them out of this game. It's just impressive. It's just some growth that we've seen from him. Enough about Jason Tatum. I get it. I love the guy. He's really good at basketball, and I like the way he plays, but enough. We won't talk about him anymore. But yeah, I thought that post game was very interesting. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, if I could real quick, just don't have a lot of spacing. They really don't. They don't. I feel bad for Anthony Edwards because his growth has been stopped, because you take away a guy like Cat, who obviously is self-proclaimed best shooting big man in the NBA's history. So you take him out, which he is an amazing shooter. And you take away that space for Anthony Edwards to work, right? But Anthony Edwards hasn't really been trying to carve out that space. Julius Randle is a ball hog. We saw it in this game. He catches the ball, and he doesn't want to pass. He doesn't want to pass to anybody. Even if Rudy Gobert wide open, he's not passing it. Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, which, by the way, Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid kept them in this game by shooting threes. But Anthony Edwards needs to hunt the paint a little bit more if he actually wants to get back to that space. The only way to create space, if your teammates aren't creating a lot of space for you, is to force the space in a way. Like, force them to sag off of you. But if you're going to be shooting threes and not driving past people, they're going to press you. They're going to double team you. They're going to press you above the 3-point line. And if you don't make them pay by driving, that space is only going to get tighter. Only going to get tighter. He has the lowest in his career amount of paint touches, paint points, percentage of shots that are in the paint, and he right now has the lowest amount of free throws per game in his entire career. So just something to look out for. I think he needs to get angry. He needs to bring some of that like competitor that we love so much about him back. But for right now, the Timberwolves are basically 500, 17-16, and they're reeling. In a Western Conference, that's pretty tough. But the Eastern Conference is also pretty tough. They've shown a lot of grit over the past month or so of the season. Some teams really emerging. So yeah, that was that game. The last thing that I want to talk about is just the look ahead, like I said. So We have the Rockets tonight. I'm filming this right before the Rockets game, and that's going to be a good one. The Rockets have a great defense. The Rockets have some really good offensive, some young, talented, athletic. It's a second night of a back-to-back for the Celtics. Not sure if Jaylen Brown is going to be able to go for this game. Porzingis is probably definitely out, I'm sure. But it looks like right now Jaylen Brown is still just listed as game time decision. Al Horford is out. He has not been playing a lot of back-to-back games, so he will be out for the Houston Rockets. And then OKC, right? OKC is the game that I really want to talk about, but we will get to it when we get to it. But looking ahead to it, obviously, Oklahoma City is the best team in the West. Celtics are not quite the best team in the East. The Celtics currently have the second seed. We're 4.5 games behind Cleveland. Cleveland has a tough game tonight against Dallas, I believe. Yeah, against Dallas. And then, but the Knicks are only 1 game behind us. So it's a tight race in the top of the East. But yeah, we play the Oklahoma City Thunder, who, look, they are really good defensively, but they have some issues offensively. When Shea is not flowing, which, by the way, Shea is always flowing, it seems like, especially lately. But when Shea's not quite there, like we saw in the NBA Cup game, and maybe that's a sample of playoff atmosphere type basketball, that intensity that the Bucks brought in that game. I know we saw that against Dallas. He played really well, but there was some late game stuff that kind of got to him, and he wasn't able to get to his spot quite as often. So we'll see about that. Again, it's all about maturity. Tatum has gone through these things. Jokic has gone through these types of games. Obviously, guys like KD, these guys have gone through this. Luka even has gone through more gauntlets in the playoffs and understand how to breathe and take care of situations. But we even saw it with Luka in the finals. He was unable to control himself, control his emotions, and he let that get the best of him, and the defense was able to frustrate him to a point where they lost the series. But again, he learns from that. We'll see how he does if and when he's available for these coming playoffs. Guy like SGA hasn't been far in the playoffs. He's only won, him and his team, I think, 2 total playoff series in his 7 years in the league. Or 6 years in the league. So that's not as much experience, not as much high-level experience, because we all know the emotion, the effort, the execution, and the direct schemes to stop a certain team or player increase in the playoffs. So we'll see how he does there. But that's going to be a great game. I think Jason Tatum and SGA right now should be the 2 favorites for MVP. I know Nikola Jokic's numbers are crazy, but their team is just not winning, and that does matter. And I know that the rip on Tatum is, well, he's got this great team. Like we just described, injuries every single night. Only 86 total minutes with his starters. And that's supposed to tell me that they have a super team? In the month of December, Derek White was down in every metric. And that's something you're going to tell me is a super team for Jason Tatum, so therefore he can't win the MVP, even though he's averaging a 30-point double-double with 5.5 assists. And he's cut his usage rate down. So he's doing it in less usage too. I don't know. You tell me how that makes sense. But I think it should be SGA number 1 right now, Tatum or Giannis number 2. But the Giannis and the Bucks have lost 3 straight games, right? So the winning takes him out of it. I think it should be SGA, Tatum, Giannis, or Jokic, depending on what their teams do. And if Dallas or the Bucks, I mean, not Dallas, if the Nuggets or the Bucks start winning a bunch and Giannis and Jokic are playing this way, then obviously they go up because the stats are just out of this world. But right now, SGA is number 1. He's just in an unbelievable mode. I think Tatum should be number 2. Surprise, surprise. And then the rest fall where they may. I don't think Luka's going to play enough games. The 65-game threshold, again, I don't know if you know this, but the 65-game threshold, you have to play at least 65 games to be considered for first-team All-NBA or any All-NBA, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, any of those major end-of-season awards. And then we have the Denver Nuggets. Like I said, that's going to be in Mile High, and that's going to be a tough game. 4th game in 6 days. In the high altitude, in the Nuggets arena, with Nikola Jokic after a huge gauntlet of not only like traveling into these Western teams, but just these tough teams. Minnesota's a tough team. Rockets are a tough team. OKC's the toughest team. Then Denver, who has the best player in the world. Like, there's no doubt, even though my MVP ladder is how it is, there's no doubt that Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world. So throw that away, any argument about that. So yeah, those are the upcoming games to look at. It's going to be really exciting coming down here. The Knicks are playing really well, like I said. The Cavs are obviously just out of this world and have not fallen off. And so it's going to be a really interesting stretch. I'm really looking forward to it. Great way to start out this road trip, though, having Anthony Edwards go down and having the Boston Celtics pull out a really nice gritty win where it seemed like maybe the Timberwolves were going to come back and win the game. But some clutch play, some calm play, some great play from Derek White. Like I said, clutch hit from Al Horford, and then all-around masterpiece from Jason Tatum. Starts this road trip, this tough road trip, off with a good W. So we'll see what happens tonight against Houston, and then we'll see what happens on Sunday against OKC, and then we'll see what happens in Denver. I'm really excited, and the next episode will be breaking down the rest of this gauntlet after Denver. So next week, that episode, I'll be talking about this entire 4-game stretch, what we did right, what we did wrong, and kind of how we tackled the situation. But it's January. It's January. Playoffs are around the corner. So it is time to turn it on. Turn the Jets on and just make this push for the playoffs. Can't wait. So yeah. All right, well, go enjoy the Houston Rockets game. Well, it's going to, by the time this comes out, the Houston Rockets game will be done. But enjoy OKC, enjoy Nuggets, and we will see you after those games. So, yeah, cool. That's been it. That's it. I don't know. Ending is hard. Ending a podcast is hard. If you've made it this far, you're hearing me talk about how ending a podcast can be hard. So I don't know how to end it. I usually do something that leads into this has been the dribble. I guess I could just end it there. So this has been the dribble. I didn't like that, but roll credits. Credits. There's no credits. What are you talking about, Luke? There's no credits. Just do the end thing. Go.